So what are we going to discuss for lesson number 6? So lesson number 6 will focus our discussion on discussing the law of sines. So ano ba yung law of sines na sinasabi natin? So by the word itself, the trigonometric function na sine is there. So most probably, so in this lesson, we are just going to make use of one function, which is the function na tinatawag nating sine. Gulat kayo, no? Ako lang to. Ako lang naman yung tuturuan kayo ngayong araw ng ito ng another lesson in math. So ano pang hinihintay natin? Tara na! So we are going to continue now our discussion in grade 9 math, which is under triangle trigonometry. So we are now on lesson number 6. So what are we going to discuss for lesson number 6? So lesson number 6 will focus our discussion on discussing the law of sines. So ano ba yung law of sines na sinasabi natin? So by the word itself, the trigonometric function na sine is there. So most probably, so in this lesson, we are just going to make use of one function, which is the function na tinatawag nating sine. So saan ba ginagamit yung law of sines na ito? So kung sa mga past lessons natin ng 4th grading period, we are dealing with right triangle na ang characteristics ng right triangle is that meron siya tinatawag na right angle or 90-degree angle. So in this lesson, ito na yung start ng lesson natin wherein we are not going to be dealing with right triangle. So this time, we are going to be dealing with triangle that does not have a 90-degree angle. So ano ba yung triangle na tinatawag natin na yun? So yung triangle na yun, yun yung tinatawag natin na oblique triangles. So oblique triangles, if we're going to define it, so oblique triangles, these are triangles with no right angle. Triangles with no right angle. Let's take, for example, I do have here a triangle. So if we're going to look at the measurement of the angles of that given triangle, so we do have there 65 degrees, we do have 98 degrees, we do have 17 degrees. So none of them measures 90 degrees. So meaning to say, that triangle is what we call as an oblique triangle. So as long as your given triangle does not have a measure of one of the angle as equal to 90 degrees, then that given triangle is what we call as an oblique triangle. So this oblique triangle is what we are going to use, or the focus of the focus ng given natin na triangle in this lesson at sa mga susunod pa nating lesson na ng 4th grading period. So, itong oblique triangles, yung makikita nyo ng magiging given natin sa mga isusolve nating problems in math starting now. So, ano ba yung mga kailangan nating malaman? So, by the title itself, we are going to find out first, ano ba yung tinatawag natin na law of sines? So, law of sines, we define it as, or according to law of sines, in any triangle, the sides are proportional to the sides of the opposite angles. So it's just like we returned on our lesson about proportion. So may babalik natin siya in this law of sines. So according to law of sines, in any triangle, the sides are proportional to the sides of the opposite angles. So let's take a look at this given triangle here, this given oblique triangle here. So we do have here triangle ABC. And we know na kung yung katapat ng angle A is the side A, katapat ng angle B is side B at katapat ng angle C is side C. If we are going to apply the law of sines na ang sinasabi that in any triangle, the sides are proportional to the sines of the opposite angles. So these sides daw are proportional to the sines of its opposite of the opposite angles. So etong side A will form a ratio together with the sine of angle A. This side B will form another ratio together with the sine of angle B. And this side C will form another ratio together with the sine of angle C. So equate them to each other so we can form a proportion. So that if we are going uh, to write this give definition of law of sines in symbols together with the help of this given triangle here, we can come up with the equation as A over sine A is equal to B over sine B is equal to C over sine C. So yung side tapos yung angle. Side yung nasa numerator, angle naman yung nasa denominator. So sine of the angle. So kaya nga siya tinawag na law of sines, it's because we are only going to make use of the trigonometric function na sine in this lesson. So if you are going to form a proportion with the help of with using law of sines in the given oblique triangle, so just simply form it by using the sides as its numerator, then the sine of the angle as its denominator. Then equate them to each other for you to form a proportion. So usually ang proportion ay dalawang ratios lang. So we can do that, we can apply that when we are already solving an example involving or using the law of sines. So ano pang hinihintay natin? So let's apply now this law, or particularly law of sines, through examples. Pero, so depending on the given examples, given natin, depending on the given, if we're going to make use of the law of sines. So sabi nga dito, use the formula if the given parts are, una, two angles and one side are known. So dalawang angles ang given dapat and another and a side. Then two sides and an angle opposite one of them are known. So unang given dapat natin dalawang angles at isang side. Yung pangalawang given natin dalawang sides at isang angle. So what makes it special there? So dapat sa given natin, for example, may given tayong two angles, dapat yung given side natin may katapat siya dun sa kahit isa man dun sa given angles natin. For example, ang given natin ay angle A and angle B. So dapat yung side natin, it's just either side A or side B. So hindi pwede maging side C because wala siya makakatapat doon sa two given angles. Or kung dalawang sides naman yung given, for example, ang side na given natin ay side A and side B. So dapat yung given angle natin is opposite of any of the two given sides. For example, side A and side B. So ang pwede lang maging given angle natin is just angle A or angle B. So ang clue dito for you to make use of the law of sines is tignan mo kung ano yung given. Kapag ang given mo dalawang angles, then yung isang given mo na side ay may katapat doon sa angle na yon. Alam mo naman yung katapat niya, di ba? Same letter sila. Same variable. So, yung isa capital, yung isa small letter lang. So, kapag may katapat siya doon sa given natin, then you are going to make use of the law of sides. Ganun din kapag given ay two sides. Kung may dalawang sides na given doon sa figure natin, then may another given angle. So, tignan mo ngayon kung may katapat yung angle na yun doon sa any two given sides. So, kapag meron, then you are going to make use of the law of sines. Ibig sabihin, pwede mong magamit yung formula na present natin kanina na tinatawag nating law of sines. So, tingnan natin. So, siyempre, may kita natin yan if we're going to answer examples. So, let's have example number 1. Sabi dito, solve triangle DEA given the following items. So, round off the angles to the nearest degree and the sides to 2 decimal places. So, you have to be specific with your answer here. So, if the angles is what we are looking for, so you are just going to round it up to the nearest degree. So, di mo na kailangan yung exact measure of angle pa na merong in terms of minutes, also degree, minutes, and seconds. So, you to the nearest degree mo na lang siya i-round up, while still, if the size is what we are, if any of the size is what we are looking for, then we are going to come up with an answer which is in 2 decimal places. So, i-round up natin siya in 2 decimal places. So, the given is triangle DEA. So, ito for example yon. Ito yung triangle DEA natin. So, triangle DEA. Side, angle D, opposite niya ay side D. Angle E, opposite niya ay side E. Angle A, opposite niya ay side A. So, may given tayo dito. So, D, which is the side, kapag small letter, side is what we are pertaining to. Pero kapag capital, we are pertaining to the angle. So D, which is this side, measures 6, while A, which is this side, measures 5. And angle A, this angle, measures 30 degrees. So analyzing the given that we have, i-analyze mo yung given na mayroon tayo. So meron ba tayo dyan na given na magkatapat sila? So, analyzing the given, meron ba tayong given na magkatapat sila? So, the answer is yes. And that is side A and angle A. So, yun lang yung kailangan nating malaman para magamit natin yung tinatawag nating law of sines. So, dapat meron tayong, kung given man yung two sides, sa two sides na yon dapat yung given angle may katapat siya doon. So, since meron tayong katapat dyan, so gagamitin natin yung law of sines. So, what we are going to find out? Given na yung tatlo, so we still need to find out the other three. Ano yung other three na yon? That's the measure of angle D, measure ng angle na to, the measure of angle E, the measure of this angle, and the measure of side E. Kasi D and A lang given, di pa natin alam yung side E. So, tatlo yung given, so, tatlo din yung hinahanap natin on this example. So, anong gagawin natin? So, sabi natin kanina, we are going to make use of the law of sines. So, paano natin gagawin? So, here's the solution for it. So, to solve for measure of angle D. So, unahin natin to find out for the measure of angle D. Ito yon. Bakit angle D yung kailangan natin unahin? It is because in the given, yung katapat ng angle D is already given in the problem. So, that's why, mas madali if we're going to make use right away to find, or if we're going to find right away measure of angle D because yung side na katapat niya, alam na natin yung measure. So, that we are going to solve first measure of angle D. So, for measure of angle D, sabi natin we're going to use law of sines. Sabi sa law of sines, the sides are proportional to the sines of the angles. Again, the sides are proportional to the sines of the angles. So, if to form a proportion or to form a ratio first, so gamitin natin yung given na meron na magkatapat. So that is, di ba, ang nasa numerator natin dapat ay yung measure ng side, ang nasa denominator is sine of the angle. So, eto ng dalawa, meron tayo ditong complete given. So, meron tayong 5 over sine 30 degrees equal to 6 over sine D. Because D is what we are looking for. So, that's why magkakaroon tayo ng ganitong equation, o ganitong proportion. So, that is 5 over sine 30 degrees. Again, di ba? The sides are proportional to the sine of the angles. Of the opposite angles, rather. Again, the sides are proportional to the sines of the opposite angles. Ito yung measure ng side A. So ito naman yung measure ng angle A. So sine of it, so that's why it's sine 30 degrees. Then 6, the measure of side D. Then we still don't know yet the measure of angle D because that is what we are looking for in this. So, to solve that given proportion, di ba ginagawa natin, we apply cross multiplication or it is just like we are applying the fundamental law of proportion. So, syempre, unahin natin doon sa may hinahanap, yung cross multiplying. So, 5 times sine D is 5 sine D, then 6 times sine 30 degrees will come up with 5 sine D is equal to 6 sine 30 degrees. So what you are looking for is sine D. So it's still accompanied by 5. So we still have to remove 5 on the left side. That is by simply dividing both sides of the equation by 5. So we can cancel out now the 5. So ang matitira ngayon ay sine D, which is equal to 6 sine 30 degrees over 5. So, using your calculator, ito ngayon ang calculator natin. Kayo makinig. Since angle is what we are looking for, di ba sinabi natin, if we are looking for the angle, ang unang pipindutin natin on the scientific calculator is the shift button or the second function, so second F. The shift or second F. So, una, press shift or second F or second function, then press open parenthesis, then press 6, press times, press sign or sin, symbol for sign, press 30, press DMS for the degree, then press divided by, then press 5, then press close parenthesis. Then lastly, press equals. So makukuha mo sagot doon ay ang measure ng angle D ay 36.86 which is in decimals. Makukuha mo sagot is in decimals. Ang sabi doon sa sinusolve natin, if the angle is what we are looking for, we are going to round it up to the nearest degree. So 36.86 degrees ang nakuha natin. Hindi na natin siya yung i-DMS pa ulit to find the exact measure of the angle. So dito pa lang, malalaman na natin kung ano yung i-round up natin siya to the nearest degree. 36.86. Usually the whole number there is the degree already. So 36 degree, pero 0.86 siya. So, ibig sabihin, we are going to round up. So that will come up with the measure of angle D, which is equal to 37 degrees. So that's how we find out for the measure of angle D. Again, from here, if you can follow, again, una, you are going to press shift or second function, then press open parenthesis, press 6, press times, press sin for the symbol of sign, press 30, press DMS, press divide symbol, press 5, then press close parenthesis. Then lastly, press equals, you'll get the value, the answer, which is 36.86 degree. Then since we are asked to round up, if we are looking for the degree to round up to the nearest degree, so it should be equal to 37 degrees. Sa mga latest na calculator, yung fraction na lang gamitin nyo. Kapag pindutin yung fraction form, ay pindutin mo na yung shift. Ay, may nakalimutan no, shift, sign pala, shift, sign. Nakalimutan natin yung sign kanina. Press shift, press sign. Ito yung nakalimutan natin kasi we are in law of signs Na press shift, press sign, magkakaroon ng sign raised to -1. Then press open parenthesis, press 6, press sign again, which is sin, press 30, press DMS, press divide, press 5, press close parenthesis, then press equals. So, ganun yung lalabas na value. So, kapag ang latest yung calculator mo, una, press shift or second function, press sign, Kaya kung sin raised to negative 1, plus yung fraction, isulat sa numerator 6 sine 30 degrees, isulat sa denominator ay 5, close parenthesis, then equals, we come up with the measure of angle D, same as 36.86 degrees. When rounded off to the nearest degree, it will be equal to 37 degrees. So did you get on how we find measure of angle D? Next, so let's find out the measure of angle E. So in finding the measure of angle E, madali na lang. Bakit? Because two measures of angles are already given. Diba? If the given is a triangle, the total measure of its interior angle is equal to 180 degrees. So since you already have the measures of the two angles, you can easily find out now the measure of the third angle. So to solve for the measure of angle E, so ang measure of angle E plus 30 degrees yung given natin plus 37 degrees equal dapat yan into 180 degrees. Then add 30 degrees plus 37 degrees will come up with 67 degrees. So magkakaroon ng measure of angle E plus 67 degrees is equal to 180 degrees. Then move 67 degrees to the right side of the equation, magiging minus yon. So it will become measure of angle E is equal to 180 degrees minus 67 degrees. So just subtract na lang, simple subtraction, 180 minus 67, so we come up with a measure of angle E which is equal to 113 degrees. So madali na kapag nalaman na natin yung measure of the two angles because you can right away solve for the measure of the third angle by knowing that the total measure of the interior angles of a triangle is equal to 180 degrees. So isa na lang hinahanap natin. That is the measure of side E. So we can now find out the measure of side E because we already know the measure of angle E. So alin ulit yung gagamitin natin from the given? Siyempre, gagamitin pa rin natin yung magkatapat sa given. So doon pa rin tayo naka-base, doon tayo lagi mag-start, yung magkatapat sa given. So to solve for E, or the measure of side E, so again, that would be 5 sine 30 degrees. Di ba sabi, law of sines, the sides are proportional to the sines of the opposite angles. So 5 sine 30 degrees, and what we're looking for is E, that's the side, equal to E over sine measure of angle E, which is 113 degrees. Kaya magkakaroon tayo ng ganitong proportion. Then from there, let's apply cross multiplication, or it's just like we are applying the fundamental law of proportion. So, cross multiply. So, unahin natin ito kasi nandito yung hinahanap natin. So, E times sine 30 degrees, that would be E sine 30 degrees. Then 5 times sine 113 degrees, that would be 5 sine 113 degrees. So, magkakaroon tayo ng ganito. E sine 30 degrees equal to 5 sine 113 degrees. So, since what we are looking for is E, so may katabi pa siyang sine 30 degrees. So, para maalis yon, we have to divide both sides of the equation by sine 30 degrees. So, cancel this out, yung sine 30 degrees. So, ang may iwan now is E is equal to 5 sine 113 degrees over sine 30 degrees. So, again, using your scientific calculator. So, hindi mo na kailangan mag-shift because we are just looking for the measure of the sides. So, what you're going to press on your scientific calculator, so follow me. Una, press 5, press times, press sine, press 113, press DMS, then press divide, press sine, then press 30, press DMS. Then lastly, press equals. Or pwede rin para mapaghiwalay mo, una, press open parenthesis, press 5, press times, press sine, press 113, then press DMS, then close parenthesis. Then divide it by, divided by, press sine, press 30, press DMS. So it will be equal to, so the value of E will be equal to 9.21. So since the side is what we are looking for, so we are going to round off the sides into 2 decimal places. So it should be 9.21. So that's how we answer example number 1 in finding the measure of angle D, measure of angle E, as well as side E. That is by using the law of sines. Any questions so far? So if none, let's proceed to answering another example. So let's have example number 2. To solve triangle MIR given the following items. Again, we are going to round off the angles to the nearest degree and the size to 2 decimal places. So given natin, triangle MIR with angle M, opposite niya ay side M, angle I, opposite ay side I, angle R ay opposite niya ay side R. So ang given ay I is equal to 95 centimeters. Ito yon, I 95 centimeters. Ang measure ng angle M ay 60 degrees. Ang measure ng angle I ay 50 degrees. So, tignan sa given. Sa given ba meron tayong magkatapat na na isang side at isang angle? So the answer is yes. So meron tayong given doon na side I at angle I. So this time ang given natin, dalawang angles at isang side. So from the two angles, dapat yung given side natin ay may katapat siya kahit isa man doon. So, sa angle I, katapat niya yung angle or side I na given natin. So that's why we can make use of the law of sines in order for us to solve this problem. So what we are going to find out is the measure of angle R, the R, and side R and side M. So those are the things that we are looking for in the problem. So unang-una, for our solution, we are going to solve for measure of angle R. Bakit unahin yung measure ng angle R? Kasi madali na lang. Because the two angles are already given in the problem. So we can right away, we can now find out for the measure of angle, the third angle, which is measure of angle R. Again, by knowing that the total measure of the interior angles of a triangle is equal to 180 degrees. So, measure of angle R plus 60 degrees plus 50 degrees, yung dalawang measures na yon, is equal to 180 degrees. Then 60 degrees plus 50 degrees, meron tayong 110 degrees. Kaya meron tayong measure of angle R plus 110 degrees is equal to 180 degrees. Then move 110 degrees to the right side of the equation. Magkakaroon tayo ng 180 degrees minus 110 degrees. So, subtract it. So, therefore, we can say that the measure of angle R is equal to 70 degrees. So, we already got the measure of angle R. Ang kailangan na lang natin is to find out for the measure of angle of side R and side M. So, kahit anong unahin natin sa dalawa, pwede nating isolve. It's either we solve angle R or angle M first, pares lang because both angles nakatapat nung angle R and M are already known in the problem. So that's why we can make use of it. So unahin natin muna to solve for M. Kasi since yun naman yung nasa given natin, given na may measure ng angle M, so let's try first to find the measure of side M. So, unahin natin to form the ratio is yung complete na magkatapat dun sa given natin. Side I and angle I. So, makaform tayo ng ratio na side over the sine of the angle. So, that would be 95 over sine 50 degrees. Equal to, M is what we are looking for, M over the sine of the angle na katapat niya, which is sine 60 degrees. So, that's why magkakaroon tayo ng ganitong equation. So, M over sine 60 degrees is equal to 95 over sine 50 degrees. So, ayun yung mapo-form nating equation or proportion. And from there, let's do cross multiplication to solve for the given proportion. So, unahin natin to kasi nandito yung hinahanap natin. So, M times sine 50 degrees, that would be M sine 50 degrees equal to 95 sine 60 degrees equal to 95 is equal to 95 sine 60 degrees. That's why magiging ganito. So m sine 50 degrees equal to 95 sine 60 degrees. Then from there, since we are looking for m and it's still accompanied by sine 50 degrees, so we have to divide both sides of the equation by sine 50 degrees. So cancel out yung sine 50 degrees here. So matitira ay m, which is equal to 95 sine 60 degrees over sine 50 degrees. Again, using your scientific calculator, so press na 95. O para mapag-iwalay natin, para malinaw, press open parenthesis, press 95, press sign for the sin or for the symbol for sign, press 60, press DMS, then close parenthesis. Then press divided by, press sin for the symbol for sign, press 50, then press DMS, then lastly press equals. Sa mga latest calculator, ang gawin lang, press the fraction form. Then on the numerator, press 95, sine 60, then DMS. On the denominator, put sine or press sine 50 and DMS. Then lastly, press equals. So you'll find out for the measure of angle M there, which is equal to 107.40 centimeters. So since what we are looking for there is the measure of the side, so it should be in 2 decimal places. So dito din na natin kailangan kasi hindi natin kailangan i-round off pa kasi it's already in its simplest form. Naka-ano na siya, naka-nearest degree na siya. So, 107.40 centimeters yung magiging answer natin. Bakit ngayon may centimeters? Because if you're going to look at our given, meron tayong unit of measurement involved, which is in terms of centimeters. So that's why M will be equal to 107.40 centimeters. So that's how we answer or to solve for measure of M. Lastly, let's solve for R. So same process ang gagawin natin. Since we already know the measure of angle R, we can find out now the measure of side R. And using again, yung complete na magkatapat do sa given natin na side I tsaka angle I. And using the law of sines, we can form a proportion na R over sine 70 degrees. R is what we are looking for. Over sine of its opposite angle, which is 70 degrees, sine 70 degrees, equal to 95 over sine 50 degrees. Ayun yung magkatapat dun sa given natin. Then, cross multiply. Ito muna, we come up with R times sine 50 degrees, then followed by 95 times 70 times sine 70 degrees. Magkakaroon tayo ng R sine 50 degrees equal to 95 sine 70 degrees. So if you want to move or to remove sine 50 degrees, you have to divide both sides of the equation by sine 50 degrees. So cancel out the sine 50 degrees here. What will be left is R. So R, 95 sine 70 degrees over sine 50 degrees. And again, using your scientific calculator, una, press open parenthesis, press 95, press sine, press 70, press DMS, press close parenthesis, press divided by, press sine, press 50, and press DMS. O sa may fractional part na calculator or yung mga latest, press the fraction part, yung fraction on the numerator, key in there by pressing 95, sine 70, then DMS. On the denominator, press sine 50 and DMS. Then lastly, press equal, you'll get the value of side R, which is equal to 116.53 centimeters. So the value of side R is equal to 116.53 centimeters. So that's how we solve problem number 2. Do you have any questions so far? So if there's none, let's continue answering more examples. So let's answer now example number 3. So for example number 3, the given here is solve triangle XY Z given the following items. Again, if the angles is what we're looking for, So, to the nearest degree yon, then for the sides to 2 decimal places. So, here is the given figure, x, y, z. Angle x katapat ay side x, angle y katapat ay side y, angle z ang katapat ay side z. So, what we are going to find out is angle z, angle y, and side y with a given of x, which is 8 meters, z, which is 6 meters, and angle x, which is equal to 50 degrees. So if you're going to analyze our given, meron tayo dong given na magkatapat. So ano yon? That is ang side x and angle x. So yun lang yung clue natin na kailangan nating alamin sa given natin para magamit natin yung tinatawag natin na law of sines. So let's start it now. So let's start solving first for measure of angle Z. So, since yun naman unang hinahanap, and since given in the problem yung measure ng side Z, so much better if we're going to right away find out for the measure of angle Z. Kasi hindi agad natin makuha yung measure ng angle Y because we still don't know yet the measure of side Y. So, kaya measure of angle Z muna tayo. So, using yung complete na may mga katapat doon sa given natin na 8 meters for the side and 50 degrees for the measure of the angle, we can form a ratio na 8 over sine of the angle, which is sine 50 degrees, is equal to, given yung measure ng side C, that will be 6 over the sine of the angle C, which is sine Z. So magkakaroon tayo ng ganitong equation or proportion. 8 sine 50 degrees equal to 6. 8 over sine 50 degrees is equal to 6 over sine Z. Then do cross multiplication. Ito muna kasi nandito hinahanap natin. So 8 times sine Z. Then this one, 6 times sine 50 degrees. Magkakaroon tayo ng 8 sine Z is equal to 6 sine 50 degrees. Then since we want to find out for the measure of sine of angle C, and it's still accompanied by 8, so we still have to divide both sides of the equation by 8. So we can cancel out now 8 here. So ang matitira ngayon ay sine Z, which is equal to 6 sine 50 degrees over 8. So using your calculator, and since measure of angle is what we are looking for, so ano ulit yung unang pipindutin? We are going to press first sine. We are going to press first shift or second function. So follow me. Press shift first or second function, press sine. Ang kalalabas nun ay sine raised to -1. Then press open parenthesis, press 6, press times, press sine, press 50, press DMS, press close parenthesis, then press divided by, press 8. So sa may latest calculator, so yung fraction form ay una yung ano muna, shift, press shift or second function, press sine, nagiging sine raised to -1. Then press fraction, I press open parenthesis first, press fraction, then key in on the numerator by pressing 6, sine 50, DMS, then on the denominator, just press 8. Then close parenthesis. Then press equals. You'll come up with the measure of angle Z, which is equal to 35.07 degrees. So since we are going to round it up to the nearest degree, since 0 yon, yung kasunod ng decimals, so mag-round down tayo. So, ibig sabihin, mag-stay yung measure ng angle natin. Hindi siya mag-round up. So therefore, the measure of angle Z is equal to 35 degrees. So we already know the measure of angle Z. And given yung measure ng angle X, so we can find out now the measure of angle Y. So paano yon? So for the measure of angle Y, since we know that the total measures of the interior angles of a triangle is equal to 180 degrees, and alam na natin yung measure of the two angles, so we can find out now for the measure of the third angle. So that is the measure of angle Y plus 50 degrees plus 35 degrees is equal to 180 degrees. So 50 degrees plus 35 degrees, magkakaroon tayo ng measure of angle y which is equal plus 85 degrees equal to 180 degrees. So move yung 85 degrees to the right side of the equation, magiging minus yon. So it will be measure of angle y is equal to 180 degrees minus 85. So 180 degrees minus 85 is equal to the measure of angle y which is equal to 95 degrees. So that's how we solve for the measure of angle y. So isa na lang. We are looking for the measure of side y. Malalaman na natin ngayon yan, it's because we already know the measure of angle y. And using again this ratio na given in the problem. Ratio of a side, the side, and the sine of an angle, of its opposite angle. So, to solve for y, so using this, 8 over sine 50 degrees equal to, y is what we are looking for over sine of its angle, opposite angle, which is 95 degrees. So, magkakaroon tayo ng equation or proportion na 8 over sine 50 degrees is equal to y over sine 95 degrees. Then do cross multiplication. Ito muna, y times sine 50 degrees, then followed by 8 times sine 95 degrees, magkakaroon tayo ng y sine 50 degrees is equal to 8 sine 95 degrees. So since yung y natin may kasama pang sine 50 degrees, so if you want to remove it, we have to divide both sides of the equation by sine 50 degrees. So maka-cancel out na ngayon yung sine 50 degrees here, ang matitira ay y which is equal to 8 sine 95 degrees or over 90 or sine 50 degrees. And again, using your scientific calculator, so you are going to solve for the value of y. So una, press open parenthesis, press 8, press sine, press 95, press DMS, press close parenthesis, press divide, press sine, press 50, press DMS. So, then press equals in the end. Then sa mga bago, press fraction, key in by pressing 8 sine 95 then DMS, then on the denominator sine 50 DMS. Then press equals, you'll come up with the value of y which is equal to 10.40 meters. So the value of y is 10.40 meters. Bakit may meters? It's because in our given, yung mga given natin, may unit of measurement in terms of meters. So that's why if we're going to come up with an answer, that also be in terms of meters. So do you have any questions? So that's how we answer example number 3. So for you to understand it more clearly, let's try this last example. So we do have here example number 4. To solve triangle ABC given the following items, again, round up to the angle to the nearest degree, then for the sides to 2 decimal places. So, naka-indicate na dito yung mga given natin. Ang given natin, given yung measure ng dalawang sides. Side A measures 35 meters, side B measures 20 meters, while angle A measures 65 degrees. So from the given that we have, or from the illustration that we have, meron ba tayo dyang given na magkatapat? So the answer is yes. That is the value of side A, which is 35 meters, and the value of angle A, which is 65 degrees. So by knowing that, we can apply the law of sines to solve that given problem. So what we are looking for is the measure of angle C, the measure of angle B, and the measure of side C. So obviously, hindi kaagad natin makukuha yung measure ng side C tsaka ng angle C because we still don't know it yet. So ang una natin kukunin, since given yung measure ng side B, madali natin makukuha yung measure ng angle B with the help of the measures na magkatapat dun sa given natin. So una, let's find out for the measure of angle B. So yung magkatapat natin to form a first ratio is 35 over the sine of the angle, which is sine 65 degrees, equal to the side is 20 meters over the sine of the angle that we are looking for, which is sine B. So that magkakaroon tayo ng 35 over sine 65 degrees equal to 20 over sine B. Then do the cross multiplication. Ito muna because dito hinahanap natin 35 times sine B, then followed by 20 times sine 65 degrees. Magkakaroon tayo ng 35 sine B is equal to 20 sine 65 degrees. Then, what we want to find out is to the measure of angle B. So, it is still accompanied by 35. To remove it, we have to divide both sides of the equation by 35. So, we can cancel out our 35 here. Ang mapoform ay sine B. Ang matitira ay sine B, which is the one we are looking for, equal to 20 sine 65 degrees over 35. And again, using your scientific calculator, and since the measure of the angle is what we are looking for, the first thing we are going to do is to press first shift or second function, press sine, magiging sine raised to -1, press open parenthesis, press 20, press times, press sine, press 65, press DMS, then press close parenthesis, press divide, then press 35. Then lastly, press equals. So sa may mga fraction na calculator, press shift or second function, press sign, magiging sign raised to -1, press open parenthesis, press fraction, key in on the numerator by pressing 20, sine, 65, then DMS. Then on the denominator part, just press 35. Then close parenthesis, then press equals. You'll find out for the measure of angle B, which is equal to 31.19 degrees. So the answer should be to the nearest degree. So 31.19. So kasunod ng point ay 1. So round down pa rin tayo. That's why the final answer will be the measure of angle B, which is equal to 31 degrees. So 31 degrees to. Okay? So let's find out now for the measure of angle C. So we can do it now easily because two of the measure of the angles are already given. 65 degrees yung angle A, 31 degrees naman yung angle B. So we can find out for angle C, but the measure of angle C, by knowing that the total measure of the interior angles of a triangle is equal to 180 degrees. So that will come up here with the measure of angle C plus 65 degrees. Ito yon, plus 31 degrees, ito naman yon, is equal to 180 degrees. So add 65 plus 31 will come up with 96 degrees. So measure of angle C plus 96 degrees equal to 180 degrees. So move yung 96 degrees to the right side of the equation, kakaroon tayo ng measure of angle C is equal to 180 degrees minus 96. So just simply subtract it. So that will come up with the measure of angle C, which is equal to 84 degrees. So the measure of angle C now is equal to 84 degrees. So now, with the help of this measure of angle C, we can now find out for the measure of side C, which is the other thing that we have to look for in the problem. So to solve for C, with the help again of this complete value na magkatapat doon sa problem natin na 35 yung side, then opposite angle niya is the sine of this each opposite angle na sine 65 degrees. Let's solve for C. So C is what we are looking for, the side C over the sine of the angle C, which is 84 degrees. That's why magkakaroon tayo ng ganitong proportion. So that is 35 over sine 65 degrees equal to C over sine 84 degrees. So do the cross multiplication. So ito muna, we do have C times sine 65 degrees followed by 35 times sine 84 degrees. So magkakaroon tayo ng C sine 65 degrees is equal to 35 sine 84 degrees. So yung C natin may kasama pa ditong sine 65 degrees. So To remove that, we have to divide both sides of the equation by sine 65 degrees. So, ma-cancel out yung sine 65 degrees here. Ang matitira ay C, which is equal to 35 sine 84 degrees over sine 65 degrees. Then from there, using your scientific calculator again, so muna press open parenthesis, press 35, press times, press sine, press 84, press DMS, then close parenthesis. Then press divide by sine, press 65, press DMS. Then press equals. So sa latest calculator, una press the fraction, key in on the numerator part by pressing 35 sine 84 DMS. Then on the denominator part, press sine 65 then DMS. Then press equals. So you'll find out for the measure of side C, which is equal to 38.41 meters, which is um, um, rounded up to 2 decimal places. So it should be 38.41 meters. Meters, it's because the unit of measurement involved in the problem is in terms of meters. So that's why ang unit of measurement ng answer natin ay in terms of meters. So that's how we answer example number 4. Do you have any questions? So if there is none, that would be all for today. Kung nagustuhan nyo yung video na to, so just hit like, share this video, and also subscribe IGOP Lord official channel. So, importante is for you to subscribe the IGOP Lord official channel. And also, don't forget to comment down below if you do have anything to say. So, hanggang sa muli, goodbye!